Okay, so maybe we'll start right at this moment, okay? Good morning, this is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here, Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi. This is our second shir, Mishna Berura, about 9:30, quarter to 10 in the morning. We have breakfast here, so you can join us for breakfast. And we're located in Yerushalayim here at Kodesh, not too far from the central bus station, Rehov 6, Zikr Yaakov number 6. And we're going to begin now with just a point that was left over from yesterday. Siman Kuf Yud Dalet Sif Katan Chav Aleph. First has to be in the middle of Shmona Esrei, made a mistake, and he has to be Chozel LaRosh. Has to begin a reset of his whole Shmona Esrei. Right? So what does he do?
Kuf Yud
Right?
Dalet Chav Aleph.
So that's in Chav Aleph in the Mishna Berura. You have it there, Brachman? You want to just go ahead.
Chozel LaRosh Tefillah.
Right.
By time, the reason the Gimel brachot, the first three brachas, are cheshuvot, they are cheshuv kechada.
Right.
They are what's cheshuv, I guess, cheshuvot.
Considered. They're considered as one.
As one. Ein tzorach l'asor lamar, and you don't have to go back and say Hashem Sifai Tiftach. You have to go back and say it again. Wait, just go right into the tefillah without saying it? Wow.
Ein tzorach l'asor lamar. You don't have to say, right, Hashem Sifai Tiftach. Now, you look at number 22, for those of you who have the Dershu, right? Go, that's when he's in his mid, that's when he made a mistake in the first three ones, and he's still standing his Shmona Esrei. So then, he just has to reset, and he doesn't have to say, Hashem Sifai Tiftach. Now,
What do you mean? In what situation would you have, if you said the first three ones, then you have to repeat it? Like
no, if you made a mistake, that you didn't say, he said Kela Kodesh, he didn't say Melech Kadosh. So now he's passed through his beyond the money, he has to repeat.
Right.
So he's still he's really in the middle of, meaning his Shmona Esrei has now come to an end, right? But in number 22, there should bring a little bit of a different case. Go ahead, you have it there. Brachman,
Achim siyem et tefillah. When he finishes the tefillah,
let's say he went through his whole tefillah, right? And the top.
and he made a mistake with the bar. Shemachamato alav lachzor is plus shenit. He made a mistake. Let's go back the second time.
So let's say it was Rosh Chodesh, and he finishes davening, and he davening. Oh, it's Rosh Chodesh.
Shachar or mincha, right?
Shachar mincha, right? So then at that point, he's lost his opportunity. He's got to start all over again. Okay, so what is he supposed to do?
Right, Mash, we'll see where we wrote above. Sheladat, Shut Agirot Moshe, Agrach, Knievsky, Ishe Yisrael Besof, Sefer Teshuva, Kuf Samech Ted. Shich Lachzor Lamar. You have to go back and you do have to say Hashem Sifatai.
That's if you say the whole thing all over again.
You finished your Shmona Esrei, and it was a completely...
As opposed to just having to repeat the first two.
Right, if you're in the middle of the three and now, what about if you're in the middle of... That's not true. What if you're somewhere in the middle between the first three and finishing the whole thing? What do you do then? I don't know, right?
No, according to what we said here, it would seem that he did the whole thing here,
right?
And he has to say Hashem according to Rav Moshe.
Right, if he's repeating the whole thing, he has to go back and say Hashem Sifatai.
But is that different?
But if you just make a mistake...
So here we said that if we just said the first three, you don't have to say.
Because you're not repeating the whole Shmona Esrei.
Right.
Therefore you don't have to say it again.
Right.
It's because you finished
That's
it,
right.
then you're kind of... You've wrapped up the whole thing, and you say it again, you say it from the start.
Okay.
But then, they go on.
Okay, Midach, Shari Tshuva. On the other hand, the Shari Tshuva katav shegam beofen zeh ein tzreich lomar Hashem Sifatai. Even when you finish everything.
Right. So you have that itself.
That means you do whatever you like, and you have who to be holding, like they say. You have who to hold by.
But no one's talking about 3 steps.
Nobody said 3 steps. We haven't found 3 steps.
Another question came up to me the other day, which I wasn't here yesterday, I couldn't ask. we talked about places where you can make an interruption. What about Birkas Kahana? It's
Right.
not mentioned anywhere.
What do you mean by?
If you're still saying your Shemona Esrei and it comes to
Yeah.
Birkas Kahana,
Right. Can you Shmei Kahona? Can you stop and listen to verses?
yeah, because as we're learning with Rabbi Levi, the whole din of Birkas Kahana
Right.
is that there's a chiyuv on the congregation to be accepting of
That's
the
right.
brachas.
True.
So you're not supposed to be. You got to pay attention to what's going on.
Right.
So it's, but we're not talk. That also becomes a potential hefsek in your dot. Well,
In
maybe
a
it's not a
bracha,
hefsek.
it won't be. In general, it won't be unless maybe sometimes you get a Yom Tif daven in which you can, in theory, maybe finish your Yom Tif daven, perhaps, maybe. But in any event, it certainly would be longer than it would take to be gomer at the bracha that you're in. Let's say you're in bracha Rafa'enu, right? Rafa'enu maybe consists of 16 words, I think,
Right.
and it takes maybe 15 seconds to say it, so for this time it takes more than that, clearly. So Shmei Kahona, it could be a difficulty. Therefore, I'm not, again, whether you're supposed to stop and listen to Birkas Kohanim, then I'm not sure about it all. That's number one. Number two, even if you are, and if you want to avoid the problem of making a hefsek in the bracha, so just listen being bracha lebracha. You usually have enough time. By the time they get up there and they start saying their bracha, you can finish up your bracha and being bracha to bracha.
It just this one.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me the day during.
For sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah. If you remind me, I'll try and look around and see if they had any mentions about whether with words in the Shemona Esrei, you should stop and listen to the
Yeah, because
Kohanim.
it just they all the other places you can stop and that's it, but they just don't mention Birkas Kahana at all. I guess if they're writing in Europe, they say Birkas Kahana very often, so it's not a big deal. But here you say it every day.
That's right.
Oh yeah, of course you know.
Good. Okay. So that's about Hashem Sifsai Tiftach. But again, we have no clue as to whether or not taking the 3 steps back or forward again is required or not. So okay, we're going to have to hold on to that and see what we can do to get some more information. But ask around and maybe they will come up with something. But I don't. I looked a bit yesterday and didn't see.
You say your friend's side, you have to bother
I'm
friend's side.
going to bother him until he tells me where he found it.
He's the man we want.
Yeah.
So friend you are. Stop.
Okay, let's go back to where we were, which is K, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe we would switch
What?
to K.
Okay?
Yeah, let's see. We might have finished it.
You didn't bounce around so much.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was that.
Yeah, but I think we finished it. Good. Okay. Kuf Vav.
Kuvav. Yehem apturim mitfila. All those that are exempt from tefillah. All
Three
apturim.
letters now, you want 2 letters.
Mikriyat apturim, mikriyat shema. All those that are exempt from Kirkat Shema, apturim mitfila. They are also exempt from tefillah.
1 second. Kol Keturim Kriya Shema, Keturim Tefillah. Good. So the first rule is everyone who's pater from Kriya Shema is pater from Tefillah. Okay. Number 1.
How does that help us? What about Kirkat Shema?
Oh, we already learned about who we're pater. Let's continue with the Mechaber. We'll review everything. Better Hashem. Yeah.
B'chol shecha b'Kirat Shema, all those are obligated b'Kirat Shema, and Chayav also obligated with Tefillah. Okay. Chutz mi hamilavin et hamet, shein imitat tzorch behem.
Okay, so the first, again, we have 3 things so far. First thing is, everyone who is pater from Kriya Shema is pater from Tefillah. We'll go into the details about that soon. Then the second corollary is, anyone who is chayev in Kriya Shema is also chayev in Tefillah. Except, one exception is those who are participating in a levaya, and the mita is required, they're required to assist in the carrying of the mita, right? So those people right, they are not exempt from Kriya Shema, but they're exempt from Tefillah. Mishna will explain why, what's the difference between Kriya Shema and Tefillah.
So when it says She'en Lamita Tzorach B'hem, it means the mace does not need these people?
Meaning, yeah, there are enough people that are carrying the Mita, right, but they're still there by the Levaya. Right? We'll see why. Okay, now,
But tefillah, they are exempt.
they are exempt meaning they are exempt from Tefillah, even though they're chayiv in
Kriyat
Shema.
Shema?
Yeah, we're going to see.
Oh, okay.
The Mishna, the Machar wasn't explained. Even though,
Aval Pi, even though shehem chayavim b'Kriyat Shema between the tefillah.
meaning those who are malav the mace and the Mita doesn't need them, right? Even though, right, they're chayiv in Kriya Shema, they're pater from Tefillah. We'll see in the Mishna Berura why. I'll explain. Okay, let's continue.
But Hashim Vabadim and women and servants, Shafal Pi Shepturim b'Kriyat Shema, even though they are exempt from Kriyat Shema, chayavim b'tefillah, they are obligated in tefillah. Mipnei shehi mitzvah aseh shelo azman gamar, because it is a mitzvah. Tefillah is a mitzvah a positive mitzvah that so shelo azman gamar, that is not dependent on time.
Right, it's not time bound. We'll explain, Mishna was also going to explain why Tefillah is not a time bound mitzvah. Okay.
וקטנים שהגיעו לחינוך חייבים לחנכם. And ones that are not bar mitzvah, קטנים, small children, שהגיעו לחינוך, but they became of age of education, being educated. They are obligated. You are obligated to educate them.
Right. Once they reach the age of training in this mitzvah, each mitzvah in general has its own specific time for education in particular mitzvahs, some earlier, some later, depending on the mitzvah itself and its difficulty and its the concepts surrounding the mitzvah. So as soon as they get to be the age where you can train them to understand about Shemona Esrei, so then you're obligated to teach them about Shemona Esrei. Okay, a lot of details here. Let's see the Mishna Berura. Take it one step after the next. Let's see the Mishna Berura again. We said originally, Kol HaPaturim Kriya Shema Paturim Me Tefillah. Everyone who is pater from Kriya Shema, they're also pater from Tefillah. Let's see in the Mishna Berura.
Okay, Kriyat Shema, but they shehem oskim the mitzvah because they are busy with the mitzvah, or she'etrudim, or they are bothered by tirudat mitzvah, or they are troubled with the.
Or they're busy. They're occupied with it.
Occupied with the mitzvah. Moab Siman Ayin Sif Gimel.
Okay, so now the Mr. Moore is explaining a specific point here about who are these people that are pater from Kriya Shema. They're also likewise pater from Tefillah. So those were the ones that were oisik in a mitzvah. If a person was oisik in a certain mitzvah, or he was torrid in the tirdis mitzvah, meaning he was occupied and distracted because of the tird of a mitzvah. That primarily you're talking about a chassan. Chassan, we say the first night, chassan's toward this mitzvah, his thoughts are on fulfilling his mitzvah of becoming a chassan and a husband and wife together, right? So you say he's pater from Kriya Shema. So he's likewise pater from Tefillah. Or sometimes they're Isaac with
I
mitzvah.
remember that.
Well, Bisman is there, it's a little bit different because we don't have kavanah like they used to have kavanah. So since our kavanah is not so strong to begin with, it doesn't affect us so much. But
When it says tirdis the mitzvah, would you consider something like building your sukkah a tour?
not really, because it's something you could do at another time. If you want, take a look. Let's go back. If you take a look at Siman Ayin Sif Gimel, right? Go back about 30, 40 pages maybe. Siman Ayin Sif Gimel.
Everybody got it?
Got it.
Chaim Gimel. Siman Ayin,
Siman Ayin.
Sif Gimel.
The Gimel on top.
Yeah.
Ayin, the Gimel on top, the third one.
Thank you. Hakones at the Betula. One that is bringing in the Betula. Patur Mikirat Shema. He's exempt from Kirat Shema. Shlosha Yamim.
3 days.
Right.
3 days.
Yeah, give him
Im
3
los-
days.
Oh, Im lo samase. He didn't do anything.
Right.
For 3 days he is Patur. Veshu Tarud Tirdat Mitzvah. He's being bothered by Tirdat of the Mitzvah.
He's preoccupied with the concern for the mitzvah.
Hani Mile, in these words, Hani Mile is Man Rishonim. This is talking about the time of the Rishonim. What do you mean by Rishonim?
Sure.
The Ramban?
Yeah.
Or earlier ones,
Earlier ones.
certainly in the time of the Gemara and even the Rishonim
right,
at
right.
the time of the.
Aval Akshav, but now, Skam Shabane Dam Enam Mechavnim Karoi. But now that the rest of the people are not, they don't have kavanah, proper kavanah in tefillah.
Not just the chassan, but anybody when they're saying Kriya Shema, not really having the proper, full-fledged intention and concentration required to say Kriya Shema.
Kama konesa b'tulah koreh. When is entering it with b'tulah, he has to read Kirat Shema.
Right. That's why you remember saying Kriya Shema when you were chassan, right? So. Yeah, that's basically what the Mishna is referring to over here, because it was a much greater thing. The mental requirements for the mitzvah then were much more involved, and they took Kriya Shema much more seriously than we do, right? So they wanted to do it properly, so therefore they understood if you're going to be busy with this, your mind's going to be preoccupied, and you're not going to be able to have the proper kavanah, so you're reflecting.
The new Shah kavanot by heart, maybe.
Probably.
Shah Rizal.
Yeah, probably.
Must have known that.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to where we are. Okay, so that's what the Mishnah Berura is referring to over here, right? Here's the mitzvah. Yeah. Okay, Sif Katan base in the Mishnah Berura. Sorok Ben. Now we're shifting towards the mitzvah of Lava Sesames. And there are those that are some assisting with the mita, they're actually carrying the mita, or they'll be transferring it from one person to the next. Or there are other people that are just there bystanders, right? And the mita does not need them, not required for helping to transport the nifter. Okay.
Okay. What's in the to say, Sheinam Muchanim, they're not ready in a cloud at all.
Thanks.
צורך בהם. רוצה לומר שאינם מוכנים כלל לעזור בנשיאת המיטה. They're not needed or not ready or needed to.
Yeah, Mukhana not prepared at all to help.
With the carrying of the mita. The love hachi, if not so, between gam and Kirat Shema. If that's not the case, then they would be also exempt.
If they were actively involved.
Actively involved, they would not be exempt from Kirat Shema. Till B'siman Ayin Bet, Sif Aleph, Ayin Sham.
Right, because these are the ones that are not at all prepared to assist with the mita. They're not required, and they're not expecting to assist. Because if it would be that they were expected to assist, then they would be put from Kriya Shema.
So Chivra Kaddish would be,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, when they're riding in the truck, let's say, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Right? To a certain extent. Yeah.
Well, the way it happens today, I don't think anybody's expecting Kriya Shema.
The Chevra Kadisha takes care of everything.
Well, I mean, when they take the nifter out, they usually, it depends if they walk the distance.
I've seen that, you know, it was getting close to, for Mincha, it was getting late. They just rushed the funeral part and they said, okay, you know, we have to have Mincha, so we did it fast. And then by the time we got spent, they went to side to Shemona Esrei and went back. So I mean, you know, so it all depends. Or you come prepared. I mean, you know, you come prepared. You know, I mean, I don't know. That's what I think. In today's situation, I mean, I used to help in the competition in America. You know, we all made sure that, you know. Well, they're just different. Also, the truth is, they're most of the times it's at night. Yeah, that's right. So that was most of the time, unless an emergency. You know, but here, you know, you see them do that. You know, they set up funerals. You know, it was, one time was I forgot what it was. Hanukkah. So Menorah, so it was fast. And another time was, you know, davening. You know, so they just rushed part of it.
Yeah, I mean, again, there are halachas about that. What to do? You can't. Again, you have to have covered for the mace also. You can't just like.
I know.
I'm not saying that Chas v'Shalom there was any lack of cover.
I didn't mean that.
No.
There was anything like that. Yeah.
What's mace?
The deceased. Sorry, deceased. Yeah. Okay. Tefillah, Sifkat and Gimel. So he's in that case, had they because if they would be because there are those that they're not required to help with the levaya, because in those cases, if they would be obligated to help with the levaya, they're going to be obligated if they are involved with the levaya, then they're pater. If they're not required to be involved with the levaya, they're obligated in Shema and also in Tefillah as well. Okay. Let's see.
Tefillah.
Yeah.
That means they're exempt from Tefillah.
Meaning there's a difference. When it comes to the levaya, so if they're going to be that they're not involved, right? So if they're not involved with the levaya, since they are obligated in Kriya Shema, nevertheless they're pater from tefillah. There's a split, right? They're not obligated, they're not prepared, and not required to help out with the levaya. So therefore, they are chayiv in Kriya Shema, but nevertheless they're still pater from Shemona Esrei. Why is that? The Mishna explains. They're pater from Tefillah. Why are they pater from Tefillah? Sivkat and Gimel.
What's levaya?
The funeral.
In Tefillah. Oh well, since the heat made the very sofrim. Because Tefillah is the Rabbanan. They made sofrim. Odd and more. She bamidah. And you can't move. She bamidah.
You have to stand still.
Stand still.
Right.
Can't move them. You don't move. Ein yocholim lishpot kol kach. And they can't be detained or delayed so much.
Right. So two things. First of all, right, they're pater from Shemona Esrei because it's different. So it's the Rabbanan, right? And secondly, since they have to stand in one spot for the Shemona Esrei, they can't delay so long to leave the left behind when they're in levaya. The funeral continues onward. So therefore, they're pater from Shema, even though they're chayiv in Shema, even though they're pater from Tefillah.
What happens when you're watching the
Shomer. Yeah, he's pater.
You're not supposed to.
That's another thing. But see, he's out of the Dalet Amos and things like that. But that's
You have a pigua and you have to look for pieces and
No, that's a different because but a shomer, I mean,
you can change off.
But usually they say Tillim anyway. So if you say Tillim, you can say Kriya Shema. I mean, a shomer usually sitting there in the room saying Tillim, right? So wouldn't it be okay for him to say Kriya Shema at that
Okay,
point, or it's not allowed?
The fact you're saying tefillah might be because that helps for the shmir of the nifter.
Ah,
Saying the Shema,
okay.
so that might be.
It's like when tzitzis, when you go to a funeral
Yeah,
cemetery,
that's
you're
your
supposed to
mitzvah.
tzitzis.
You're doing
Okay,
your
okay,
mitzvah.
So you can't do it
Okay,
right.
okay.
Right. That's the Mishna
Okay.
in brachos.
Right. Capiche.
Okay. Okay. So why is he putter from Shemona Esrei even though he's chayiv in Shema? Two reasons. One, that it's medibur sofrim, so it's a less of an obligation, and also he has to stand in one spot and he can't delay so long. How about Kriya Shema?
Well, Kriya Shema, Ikar, main thing, Ikar Kavanatah, the main intent of the Kriya Shema for Amidatah, and it's established.
And like to stand, I believe to stand, meaning that fact you should really stand. It's
Standing Ina, Ela Befesuk Rishon. Ina Ela Befesuk Rishon. The Pesuk Rishon is the most important part, and it has to be done with Kavanah. It doesn't take too long, I guess.
right.
Uvakal Yuchal Lamod V'Lechaven, and it's easy to
Stand.
and
Concentrate.
concentrate. V'him
So,
Avav.
so therefore, that's basically the reason why Kriya Shema you're obligated in, and the tefillah that you're putter from. That's the case when he's not participating actively in the levaya. That the Shema is easy to just stop and stand and concentrate for the first pasuk, right? And in contrast to Shemona Esrei, you have to say the whole 19 brachas, and which takes a long time and concentration, and the levaya is funeral is going to proceed onward, and you don't want to be left behind.
Why didn't they just say that the Kriyat Shema is the right as opposed to the Ramadan?
Yeah.
Why didn't they say that?
Yeah.
It's the right, isn't it? It's the right.
Yeah, for sure. It could be included what I mentioned originally, that it's Medivrei Sofrim, because you see from the fact that the Shemona Esrei is Medivrei Sofrim,
Right.
in contrast you understand that the Shema is the rice.
In Tzarech Lashlim Batfilah, Ukel Yuchal Amod V'Chaven. Im Avar Zman Tfilah, and if the time of the davening passed, by this, being occupied with the Berura, with the funeral, Ein Tzarech Lashlim Batfilah Smucha. You don't have to go in the next tefillah. You don't have to say a double tefillah to make it up. You don't have to make it up.
Right.
Kivan de Vishat Chovato was at the time of his obligation. Hayapato Minadin. He was pator. He was exempt from Minadin, from the strict judgment.
According to the letter of the law,
Never
he
know.
was patur, meaning at the time, since he was actively involved with the levaya, and then he had no, or even if he wasn't, actively involved, he was still there, involved with it, and it's not possible to stop and daven. So therefore, at the time of the obligation to say Shemona Esrei, he was not a person who was obligated. So therefore, he has no reason to repeat the, like it was chakras he missed, doesn't have to say two minchas, because there's no reason to have a tashlumin, because he was never had an obligation to fulfill. Okay.
Does that happen today, that he's put over in tefillah?
Yeah, could happen. Sure. Let's say,
So I remember everybody's davened mincha before.
If you have lost a relative and you're an one and the levaya is going to be in the morning, it's very possible you're certainly not chayav in davening before the levaya,
Right.
and the levaya may extend past the zman of davening. Not an unreasonable thing to do. So you're going to daven mincha. You're sitting shiva already. You're going to daven mincha. You're sitting shiva,
Yeah.
but you don't have a chiyuv for chakras at that point. You were patur for chakras in the morning.
it can happen, I mean, depending on when things.
So I remember when I was on Levaya, it was the time right before Shkia, I didn't daven mincha. I thought I was put off from tefillah. I asked somebody, no, you have to daven. So I davened. I didn't go with the levaya.
Yeah, because you're not carrying the body. You said only people
No, I
carry
wasn't
the
kidding.
body.
No.
Yeah, well,
That's right.
these were even those that, again,
If you're not involved with the body, then you're chayav.
no, it says here, again, the Mechaber says, Kol chayav b'kriyas ma chayav b'tefillah, chutz me'alavin es ameis, she'ein amitit tzorach behem. See, there are two things. There are two things.
Right.
There's the ones that the meter require, and then there's the general mitzvah of alav es ameis, right? But even in this case, so those that if the meter requires them, then they put them from kriyishma, they put them from tefillah, they put them from everything, right? So the mitzvah put them from the mitzvah. But here, these are people that the meter is not to assist in the actual levaya. It's not required of them, right? Nevertheless, right? They're chayiv in kriyishma, but tefillah not. Okay. They're not chayiv in tefillah because you're not obligated. You're still assisting in going along with the nifter. So therefore, you don't want to stop and wait. And so now, what they said to Rachmim, you have to realize what the context was. I'm not sure.
I know in New York that one of the Montefiore Cemetery, that where the Lubavitch Rebbe's buried, they've actually established an ohel out, an ohel outside the cemetery. So if you were delayed there in the cemetery and it's getting close to the Sosman, there are minyanim there all the time. Before you have to, you don't have time to get back to wherever you're sitting shiva, or you're just malav in the maze and you're so here for davening. Then I've been there for funerals. We've gone over just the ohel, and there's meeting every 10 minutes, whatever. You always catch a minyan.
Right. So you have to know the situation. Good. Let's see. Okay. All right. I think we'll stop here because this is another Indian, a very big Berura going on. This is Grama.